Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll talk about the differences between the American and the British grammar differences. There are a lot to cover today. I will list you seven core differences between these two usage of the English language. Let's start with the most difficult one. In my opinion, the most difficult one is the difference between the present perfect tense and the past simple tense, because in the United States, I rarely hear in movies or in music songs, I rarely hear present perfect tense. However, it is one of the most important grammar structure in the English language. So let's see what is the reality. In the real spoken English in the United States, the present perfect tense is used much less frequently. Let's see one example. I have a stomachache because I have eaten a lot. It is said in the Great Britain, it's a British English, but in the United States, I have a stomachache because I ate too much. So instead of I have eaten too much, they use I ate too much. Or let's say that I have never read this book. I never read this book. Or I haven't done my homework yet. I didn't do my homework yet. Or are you coming with me tonight to the cinema? I haven't decided yet, or I didn't decide yet. As all of you know, the American elections has just been over, and during this election debate running for the presidency, we saw a lot of times Donald Trump in his red baseball hat. So what was written on his red baseball hat? We will make America great again. Everybody knows this sentence. But I saw a lady in a black baseball hat written with golden letters on her hat that America was never great. So the question is whether the grammar is okay or not, because I thought that if you use never and it refers to the past, you have to use present perfect tense. But what was written on her cap? It was written America was never great. And I thought the better one, or the correct usage, would have been that America has never been great. But the answer is that in the United States, the simple past tense is used much more often. So it was grammatically perfect. And you can ask me on the language exam which one is correct. Of course, both of them are correct, but you have to be very consequent and you have to use one usage throughout your exam, and the examiners will see that you use American way, the American English. I have seen this film. I saw this film. I have already read this book. I already read this book. I haven't received your letter yet. I didn't receive your letter yet. Has your brother woken up yet? Did your brother wake up yet? I have always wanted to be a baker. I always wanted to be a baker. I have drank 3 cups of coffee today. I drank 3 cups of coffee today. Have you tasted this drink yet? Did you taste this drink yet? Have you called your mother? Did you call your mother? I haven't heard this story so far. I didn't hear this story so far. This is the place that I have always wanted to visit. This is the place that I always wanted to visit. Have you done the shopping? Did you do the shopping? The second difference that we have to talk about is the word of have. It is one of the most commonly used words in this language, so this is the reason why I put it into the second place. So we can use this word to possess something or for obligations. Let's start with the first one. If I use it for possession, I can say, let's say I own a car. It means that I have a car. Or I can say I have got a car, which is more American, which is more British. So if I use it without got, it is more British. I have a car, so without the got. But if I supplement it with the got together. It is more commonly used in the United States, but it's kind of dying breed. Very rarely people say that I have got a car. They say only when they put a little more emphasis, they want to underline that they have something. I have got a house, I have a house. I have a friend, I have got a friend. So basically is very similar, but when we ask with these two structures, it can be different because with the simple have. So when we do not use the got word after that in questions, we have to use auxiliary verb depending on the tense. For example, in present simple, we use do or does. So I do not have a car or I don't have a car, but he or she doesn't have a car. But in case of have got structure, if we say a negative sentence, I haven't got a car or she hasn't got a car, so it means that we do not have to put extra auxiliary verb in the sentence because got is already there. So in questions and in negative sentences, it is very different. So let's say again, I have a car. It is an affirmative sentence. I do not have a car or I don't have a car, or do you have a car? So it means that we used extra verb, the auxiliary verb, the do. But in the terms of have got, there is no extra verb, no auxiliary verb. So it means I haven't got a car in a negative sentence, or in a question, have you got a car? So basically no difference. But for the other usage, which is the obligation, it couples with the verb to. It's a kind of preposition. It is part of the structure. So if I say I have to do something, I'm obliged to do something. Not necessarily want to do, but I have to do. So in this case, I use have to in both countries, but in the United States, they may use it together with the word of got. So I have got to do it. When they say I have got to do it, they don't say that slowly. So when American native speaker say this sentence or say this structure in the sentence, they say, I got to do this. I got to go. You got to know that. You got to come with me. They don't say you have got to come with me. They say you got to come with me, or they got to come. You got to know that, for example. But in British English, they say you have to know it. You have to come with me. You have to be with me. So the word with this obligation, with got, is more common. So this is basically these are basically the differences. But there is one more thing. When I say I don't have anything to do with you, it means that the things that you are doing is not my business. In American English, they also usually say with the word of God. So I haven't got anything to do with you, or have you got anything to do with it? But in British English, do you have to do anything with it, or I do not have anything to do with it? It means it's not my business, or and vice versa. Is it your business? Do you have anything to do with it? No, it's not your business. You do not have to do anything with it. So these are the differences between have and have got in American English and in the British English. We arrived at the third point. It is the dilexical verb. Dilexical verb is a kind of supplementary verb next to a noun. So basically, it comprises of three words: the word of have, and after a, which is an indefinite article, and after a noun. For example, have a bath, have a shower, have a gas, or have a break, have a nap. These are the British versions. But in the United States, instead of have, they usually say take. So they take a break, they take a nap, they take a shower, they take a gas. So Americans use take and British say have. So when I say I'm having a break at the moment, in the United States, they say I am taking a break at the moment. It can be used in continuous form as well. But there is one very, very interesting thing, is vacation and holiday. Usually British people go on holiday and American people go on vacation. And this is not enough because the lexical verb is also different. So in Great Britain they say have a holiday, and in the United States they take a vacation. So it's completely different. Take a vacation in the United States and have a holiday in Great Britain. The next grammar difference is about the collective nouns. So these words mean a group of people, more than one individual. The prime example is family. So when I say my family is coming, or when I say my family are coming, both of them are correct. But in Great Britain, usually they say are. My family are coming is very obvious because it's very rare to have a family with one single person. At least 2 people or 3 people or more people are in the one single family. So in Great Britain, they say my family are coming. And in the United States, they consider as a one thing, family. So that's why they say my family is coming. Different visions. And let's say another examples. Staff, class, team, company, government, jury, for example. So these are some examples of collective nouns. Let's see some sentences. For example, the government has made a great decision, which is very rare. A government has made a bad decision. In the United States, but in Great Britain, the government have made a great decision, or the whole family is here, the whole family are here. The staff are meeting at 5 p.m. The staff is meeting at 5 p.m. The government has decided, the government have decided. The audience is screaming, the audience are screaming. The whole class is quiet. The whole class are quiet. But there are 2 very interesting collective nouns, police and the gang. So basically they are enemies, but in this term they are friends because both of them are considered a plural noun. For example, the police are here or the gang are here. We never say the police is here or the gang is here. It's very obvious because when a policeman stops you, just one single policeman stops you, and he or she asks for your documents, you don't have to show any documents because one policeman is not a policeman. So one other person has to justify the action, not just one. So when you are stopped by one single policeman, you have to answer, okay, let's wait for your colleague. So this is the right procedure. The 5th point, the 5th step in line, is about the modal verbs, modal auxiliary verbs. And the first is need. In British English, people say when they put the word need into negative format, they say needn't. When there is a lack of obligation, they don't need something. For example, I am a Hungarian person, I don't need to learn Hungarian. British people tend to say I needn't to learn Hungarian. Or I don't need a car, they say I needn't have a car. So in this case, they had to put one extra verb, have. So I don't need a car, I needn't have a car. I don't need to go home, I needn't go home. I don't need to buy this computer, or I needn't buy this computer. So the British version is needn't, and the American version is don't need to. So this is one difference between the 2 types of English. And the other one is the word of shall. In a formative sentence, when I say I will go home, British people tend to say I shall go home. But it's also kind of old-fashioned or very formal when they say shall. But just be careful with the pronunciation, because not shall, because it is a kind of seafood, it is pronounced with your throat. Shall, shall, shall. So when I say I shall be there, it is the same, I will be there, but shall is used in Great Britain. American people never use that. And the other difference, when I ask a question with this modal auxiliary verb, what shall I do? So in the United States, they never use that. They say, what should I do? What should I do? Asking for advice or opinion. What shall we do? What should we do? Shall I call my mother? Should I call my mother? Or shall I ask her out? Or should I ask her out? One, the shall form is British and the should form is American. The sixth point is about the prepositions. Prepositions are small words but make a huge difference. For example, the word write. She wrote to me a letter, or she wrote me a letter. Which is more British, which is more American. So when with the preposition of to, it is more British. Write to me. She wrote to me a letter. She wrote me a letter. So without the to preposition is American, and with the to preposition is British. Let's talk about the weekend. In the United States, they say on the weekend. In Great Britain, they say at the weekend. So when I say let's meet at the weekend, it is British. And in the United States, I say let's meet on the weekend. Nobody knows why. My car is different from your car. It is correct both in Great Britain and the United States. But in the United States, they can say my car is different than your car. And in Great Britain, they can say my car is different to your car. So different to is more British, different than is more American. When we talk about institutions like school or the university or prison or church or hospital, we usually say in school. My son is in school. My son is in university. Or we can say at school or at university. In Great Britain, they say at school or at university. In the United States, they're more likely to say in school or in university, or in prison or in church, in hospital, rather than at school, at church, and at hospital. So in is more American, at is more British. The last point, the seventh point, is the difference between past simple and past participle. So it means that the verbs have three formats. The first is infinitive, the second one is past simple, and the third one is past participle. A lot of English learners say that this is one of the most difficult area of the whole language learning because it doesn't have any logic. When English learners learn these three formats, they are in big trouble because it's very time consuming to memorize these words. So I think between these two types of English, the word of dream is the biggest problem. Because when we say dream, in the past tense, in the past participle, is different between the British English and the American English. So in British English is dream, dreamt, dreamt, and in American English is dream, dreamed, dreamed. And when I say that I dreamed about you last night, it is American. But in British English, I dreamt about you last night. Some of the words are in the same group, For example, burn, burnt, burnt, burn, burned, burned. Learn, learned, learned, or learn, learned, learned. Smell, smelt, smelt, or smell, smelled, smelled. Spell, spelled, spelled, or spell, spelled, spelled. or spill, spilled, spilled, or spill, spilled, spilled. The word of get is also interesting because in American English the past participle form is gotten. So the three formats are get, got is the past simple, and the past participle is gotten, but only in American English. So when I say I have got wet, it is a British format, and in American format we say I have gotten wet. So I do hope that these points were not so difficult, and I highly recommend you to take notes on a piece of paper because I am a kind of old school guy, so I think writing is one of the best way of memorizing, because if I read something I do not remember much, but if I write things down I tend to remember more. So see you in the next video, and in my last part, it will be the fourth part of these series about the British and American English. The last one will be the most interesting because I will go through the vocabulary differences, and it will be something. So I hope you will watch it, that one as well. Bye bye.